Hey everyone, so it's been a while since I've done any like homemaking, cleaning, Flylady videos, but I was asked a question that kind of ignited some inspiration, and I'm sure that there's going to be more to come in this regard as far as like keeping house, tidying, that sort of thing. But this question was asked by a lovely subscriber, and I'm looking at it right now. It says, I was just wondering if you prefer the Flylady's method for clearing clutter or the Marie Kondo method. I saw you had done a book review a while back. Thoughts? I thought this was a great question because I've actually read both books and implemented their strategies and their tips and advice, and it's really changed my home for the better and really my mindset of stuff. Two books that I'm referring to are The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo and then Sync Reflections by Marla Silly, or aka the Flylady, and that's what I'm going to call her in this video. So just a quick overview. The Flylady, her strategy of decluttering is going room by room, and decluttering, she recommends, I think it's about 15 minutes a day, so you actually break it up into zones. So you work, zone 1 would be the entryway, and then zone 2 is the kitchen, so you'd spend 15 minutes each day that week decluttering that particular area. So her method is room by room, or as she calls them, zones. On the other end, the Konmari method actually has you organized by categories. So she has you start with your clothing, and that means every piece of clothing in your house, you put it into a giant pile, you hold it up, and you ask yourself, does this spark joy? And that's how you declutter, and it takes a long time, but by the end of it all, you have a decluttered home. So the Flylady focuses on small wins and really changing behavior. And she does this through the baby step method. You're probably familiar with that through, if you've ever looked at the Dave Ramsey plan, it's the same concept with those small wins, paying the smallest debt off first. It's really getting that going so that your motivation starts. She wants you to do something instead of nothing. And really it's just that starting mechanism. It's starting that in your brain, okay, I can do this. It's only 15 minutes. And that's where you get the ball rolling, and you'll finally start realizing that, oh, this isn't really that hard. I actually practiced this method with my memory box. I had 3 memory boxes, you guys, 3. I'm a very sentimental person, and apparently I felt the need to keep anything and everything. And so what I did for 1 week straight is I spent 15 minutes every day going through that box. And I'd put a podcast on, and for 15 minutes it was actually kind of enjoyable. I'd go through things, kind of thought about everything, and I would leave the mess, come in the next day, do the same thing, and by the end of the week it was all cleaned up, it was cleared out. I got rid of a few different trash bags of paper, and it was awesome, and it worked for me. And what really helped is that I didn't feel motivated originally, but knowing that 15 minutes was gonna be up at some point really helped. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Mel Robbins here on YouTube. I recently read her book, the 5-second rule. I wanna say the 5-minute rule, the 5-second rule. But she talks about how motivation is garbage, and really motivation is just getting started. You have to start somewhere. And that's where I think the Flylady method really shines. So the Konmari method, on the other hand, focuses more on our mindset and our relationship with our things and finding that overall balance in our home. If you've read her book, you know that she personifies her items. So she describes coming back from work and telling her purse thank you for serving her that day and putting it away. Or as you're decluttering, picking up that item and if it's something you're discarding, saying thank you for your service and letting it move on. It's kind of this weird relationship, and I'll admit it weirded me out at first, but honestly that spark joy concept that she talks about really resonated with me. And please don't slam it unless you've done it. I know I've heard a lot of people slam this method, but they've never even tried it. So I will say that for sure it's worked for me. The place I started was with my clothes, and I held up each item. And that whole spark joy thing at first, it's a little bit nebulous, it's vague. You're trying to figure out, what am I supposed to feel? What does spark joy even mean? Was that lost in translation somewhere? But what I realized was it was this kind of this intuition that we have. And as I did it, the more I did it, it was like working this muscle, this intuitive muscle that I had. And as I picked up each clothing item, all of a sudden I would feel and be able to see, is this thing valuable to me? Does it bring me joy because it looks nice? I feel good in it. It's practical, I wear it often. You know, if you were to ask me if my apron sparks joy, I'd tell you yes, because I use it and it's practical. And so as I did that, even when I shop, I've noticed it's actually changed the way I shop, because when I go shopping now, I can almost instantly, it doesn't always happen all the time, but almost instantly know whether this thing is going to add value to my life. And that's what I consider sparking joy. So you might be asking, how does decluttering by category really work? Because if you were to collect all of the clothes in your house, if you were to collect all of the books in your house, how does that work? Because that has to be overwhelming. And the fact of the matter is that it is overwhelming. It is a rude awakening, and the only way I can describe it is almost like quitting hoarding cold turkey in a way, because it's right there in front of you. It's like this exposure therapy. You have this heaping pile, and your excess is just staring you in the face and saying, look what you've done. Like, you've bought all of this stuff and you only use 30 to 50% of it. And I will say that that really helped me psychologically. I mean, it just did something mentally to me, and I realized I don't want to live like this. I don't want to have piles of stuff. And I've managed to do this with my clothing, with my books, with a bunch of different categories, and it works really, really well. On the other hand though, it requires a lot of time and attention. Unless you have someone who's really helping you, walk you through it, like a consultant or someone to support you in it, or you just have that motivation that's there, that you've had that wake-up call and you really want your life changed and you want to find that balance, a lot of people would probably just stop doing it because it's overwhelming. And that's where I think the weakness of the KonMari method lies. But I will say, and she claims this in her book, that she's never had someone revert back to their old ways. She's never had it. And that's what intrigued me about the book. And I can say for a fact that I have been changed. I don't know why all of a sudden I felt like it was at church or something, but I have been changed. And I will say, to kind of bring the two together, because I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think that they can work together. I think the KonMari method helped me to change my mindset of finding balance in my home. What do I value? What don't I value? And it's changed over time as well. But the Flylady method has helped me in decluttering my home just on a consistent basis. It's more of a maintenance mode. It's more of a kind of jumpstart that motivation and get me going. Because I've done the KonMari method, I don't have to do it full blown ever again because I've already done it. I'm continuously decluttering and continuously asking myself, does this bring value? Does this not bring value? And I found that I long for that balance in my home, and I long for that kind of sweet spot that she talks about. So really, if you want a mindset change, I'd say KonMari all the way. But for daily maintenance and for daily motivation and just to get going somewhere and to start something, I say Flylady all the way. I'm a huge fan of both, and I hope you guys found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.